It's the season finale. Don't cheer for that. Don't boo. Okay, it's an impossible situation. You guys are great. We do have a great show for you guys tonight. Yes, Jason Zinoman is here from the New York Times. The New York Times. We also have the music of Randall, Shreve. And we have a great title sponsor due to a generous donation from Rosalie Wooten. Our title sponsor is the Ozark Greenways. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Jeff Houghton with Ozark Greenways, along with our new mascot, Ozzy the Bear. Spanning more than 72 miles, Ozark Greenways truly is great for our community's bottom line. It's great for our collective health and our economy. Folks love to use our trails for exercise, transportation, and simply to connect with one another. So next time you enjoy an Ozark Greenways trail, take a moment to appreciate that it also helps our community's bottom line. No, Ozzy! Ozzy, no! It doesn't matter if you're a bear, it's still inappropriate. You can't moon the camera. Ozzy, strike 3, you're out. Ozark Greenways, a very good time. Not anymore. That bear is fired.
Welcome back. Hey! Hey, how many of you guys, like successory posters, motivational sayings? You see them all the time on Facebook and stuff. Well, we decided we want to put that out in the real world. So we have an encouraging antelope. We're calling it a success-elope. And we have it outside in front of the Gillioz Theatre. There he is. And I'm going to be able to speak through it to passersby and just motivate them. There we go, yeah. So, dare to soar. Your attitude almost always determines your altitude in life. This bit was contingent on people walking by. But they're not. We're just going to put it out into the world. Wisdom is knowing what path to take next. Integrity is taking it. Hey, kid! Hey, kid! Hey, kid! Keep your face to the sun and you cannot see the shadows. All right, we're going to keep checking back with that throughout the night. All right. Let's do things I've noticed, yeah? Things I've noticed.
These things I've noticed. These things I've noticed, yeah.
Yeah.
These things I've noticed. These things I've noticed, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I've noticed that if the founding fathers were alive today, they'd have some opinions about our interpretation of their Constitution, but mostly they'd just be scared of cars and airplanes. George Washington. Different. I've noticed that cows are just horses we've decided it's okay to eat. Just chubby horses. I've noticed that when I was a kid, I thought it would be really cool to be able to read other people's diaries, and now that I have Facebook, I see how wrong I was. I've noticed that Hershey's chocolate in the masculine tense would be pronounced he's chocolate. You gotta read it. I've noticed that people that need sunscreen the most are the people that are the color of sunscreen. There's nothing informative there, it's just a sentence. All right, and finally, I've noticed that the worst thing a mortician can say to a relative when revealing the body is abracadabra. That's things I've noticed.
These things I've noticed, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, how many of you guys have seen the masterclass videos? You take a class, and like Steven Spielberg may be doing the class, maybe teaching the class. Samuel L. Jackson might be teaching the class. It's Ron Howard. It's really a neat opportunity for someone anywhere to take like a video class from these like legendary people. Have you guys seen the promos like on Facebook and stuff like that? They're really cool. And we came across one that really liked a lot, and I wanted to show you guys it. Here it is. Check it out.
In filmmaking, there are the things you see, but then there are the things you hear. And sometimes, that is more important. Especially when the film moves from the movie screen to the TV screen, and all the have to be replaced. Creativity flourishes when it has boundaries. Hickory sticks when it has a box to play in. Ah, Buckingham! Buckingham! When it's strictly confined by FCC rules. It requires a true artist to convey the same feeling of an emotionally charged scene where you have to replace motherfucker with bucket farter.
Danny, I just want to talk. Don't make me be a
Razzle-dazzle.
Danny, or I might have to shoot a bullet up your
Razzle-dazzle.
Danny.
I ain't selling you cheap casserole. The filmmaker is inviting you into a moment. My job is to keep you in the moment, even when the lips clearly don't match up with the voice.
What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
You got the hugs, man? Show me the fancy money, and I'll show you my fancy hugs. There are actors that truly embody their characters over the course of the film. But how much more impressive is it to do it over the course of one word that wasn't even in the script? Muggle father. Virginia Ham. Blubble chucker. Geppetto pays his taxes. In the end, nothing unites like movies. They tell our common story. They're for everybody. Even for those who can't handle swear words like total Fart you. Fart me. Fart you. Fart you. Fart you! You fart! Fart you, man! Fart! 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 I'm Reggie Shih Tzu, and this is my masterclass.
There he is, Reggie Shih Tzu. We'll be back with Jason Zinoman. Stick around. That comedy bit brought to you by Bush, Ramlow, and Shore, CPAs, accountants. Funny. Set design and construction brought to you by Elamoose, Digital Quill Studio, and Skinny Theatrical Design and Fabrication.
Guest booking provided by Gig Salad.
Additional sponsorship provided by Big Whiskey's, official American restaurant and bar of the Mystery Hour.
A success-elope. Hey, we have a great guest tonight. We also have a great guest sponsor, Papa! The History Museum on the Square. If you want things that are new, go somewhere else. That wasn't a good tagline, but I got a rhyme in there. All right, let's get this out. Our guest tonight is a comedy critic for the New York Times. He also wrote this biography on David Letterman, the last giant of late night, and I'm so thrilled to have him here. Please put your hands together for Jason Zinoman. Jason. How are you, sir?
Very well, very well. It's a great crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's the best thing to say when you first come out.
I know, I'm pandering right away to the crowd.
You know what you're doing. So if you would have told me several years ago when I started this show, before we were on TV and all this stuff, that one day I'd have the New York Times comedy critic on the show, I wouldn't believe it, and I'd be terrified. But then, like, we got to know each other last night, and if you had told me Jason's coming on the show, I'd be like, cool. Do you find that people are people intimidated by that title?
I think some people are intimidated by the title of New York Times. Other people call it fake news. So I try not to think about it too much and just try to do my job as well as I can. But yeah, it took me a while when I started to. Sometimes the responsibility of it can make you not write terribly well.
Because you're kind of intimidated by it as well. There's a responsibility.
Exactly.
You want to make sure you get it right rather than just kind of going for it.
I remember my first day at the paper, and this is before this was like 15 years ago, and someone said the best thing and the worst thing about working here is that like the next day, you know someone's reading this in Vienna or Germany or something, and that idea is very terrifying. That it's being read all over the world, and by the people you're writing about, it's obviously being read very closely. So you have to both take that seriously, but also not too seriously that you don't write what you actually believe.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you got your start in theater, but like writing about theater, or actually, I mean, before that, I guess your folks were in theater, right?
Yeah, my mom started a theater the year I was born, which was a big mistake on her. I was a mistake, which is true, because you don't want to start a theater and have a baby at the same year. But
right.
So I literally grew up around actors, doing scenes in our basement, and hearing, at the dinner table, how are we going to block this scene and stuff. So that was actually a good education, really, just through osmosis.
So then you got started writing about theater and Broadway in particular.
Yep.
And I imagine that's its own world, isn't it?
Yes. It's a weird, small, very high pressure world. And my first job was just covering it as a reporter. And so I spent a lot of time, going out to lunch at Sardi's with these Broadway producers who are, as I was telling you last night, the greatest liars in the world. I mean, the fantastic, they're masters of deception. But also incredible showmen. So that was, a really fascinating experience.
It takes a little bit of deception and a little bit of showmanship. You got a show.
Exactly.
That's how we built this. We're like, yes, we're on TV. We're not on TV at all.
I can tell you, because I can tell that you are influenced by David Letterman.
You can?
Yes, this show you seem very Letterman-esque.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's actually gratifying to see this in person because. Part of the reason I wrote this book was because I felt like, this guy has this huge influence, and clearly it has. Yeah, he has.
Yeah, and so I read your book, and which is remarkable because I have a baby and I fall asleep all the time. but I love the book. Kind of grew up as a fan, and then I did an internship there, and kind of had some insights. But like really reading your book, you go. We got to know each other on Twitter, and I think I said, I didn't realize how much I was influenced from even before I started watching. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
I imagine you found that with a lot of people.
Myself. I think I started to get interested in the idea of writing a book when I realized that a lot of my expressions, a lot of my gesticulations, came from, watching David Letterman age 7, 8, 9, sneaking out of my bedroom past my bedtime.
Yes, I did the same thing, yeah.
Do the same thing. And there's something special about that kind of watching, when you're watching when you're not supposed to.
Yes.
You're keeping it very low and your eyes are close to the television set because your parents might come in and yell at you. So by watching it night after night after night, I found myself moving like him, using some of the word, I used the word, he loved the word, there was a period he loved the word lambada. And he would find any excuse to use the word lambada, which is a dance. And I often use the word lambada for no good reason. Or for instance, when he would tell a joke in his monologue, he would go like this, which would indicate for the drummer to do a rim shot.
Yeah.
And in high school, when I would tell a joke, after a punchline, I'd go like this, but I had no drummer over there. So people were confused. But so I think in a weird way, my writing the book was trying to understand this person, who's obviously very important to the history of comedy and television, but also kind of trying to understand myself, like trying to understand why. What was it about this person that rubbed off on me so much, that defined my sensibility?
And you talk about this, that like there wasn't a sense before of kind of enjoying the delightfully odd, or like the people who aren't showmen but putting them on TV.
Yes. No, I mean, you see in your show, when you're talking to people out on the street, normal people are hilarious.
Yeah.
Ordinary people, you don't need to have an actor or a comedian to make something funny. One thing that Letterman proved is that he brought, dentists. He had in the second show, he had a dentist review the movie Reds, which is about the Russian Revolution, but only from the perspective of the dentistry. And he was very serious. The dentist was like, obviously the dentistry was very crude back in this period, and these people's teeth are too straight. It's a horrible movie, and he was hilarious. But he was just a normal. He looked like someone who you didn't usually see on television.
Yeah.
And that was very unusual back then. I think that's a key, one of his great legacies.
Yeah. So, so far, how do you think we're doing? Yeah, like
you might be he might. I would change his title to the second to last giant of late night. You're the next book.
There you go. There was actually one more by Jason Zinoman. So I just asked you that so that we'd have it on record, so we could pull that quote and put it on things.
You're not the first.
But do you find people like are odd to you in that way, like kind of hoping for something from you?
I definitely have been quoted out of context constantly and put on billboards, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I ... love ... this ...
Yes.
Or like someone overhears me at a bar or something, and they'll just say New York Times. Or like there was one show I saw which was like an immersive show set in a prom, where the audience is in the prom, and it was set in the 80s.
Yeah.
And they use words like, rad, totally awesome, rad, or something. And I think, so I just quoted them. But then the quote, which in the show ran in New York for like 15 years, the quote was like, totally rad, awesome, New York Times. And it was embarrassing, because it looked like for like 10 years on subways it said New York Times was like, rad, totally awesome, bodacious.
That's awesome. It's been a real treat having you here. I appreciate you being here.
It's been really fun to be here.
We're going to go to a break, and we'll be right back with Randall Shreve. Stick around.
Guest travel and accommodations provided by Hotel Vandervoort.
Systematic Savings Bank, official bank of the Mystery Hour.
Papo's Pizzeria and Pub, official pizza joint of the Mystery Hour.
Tonight's musical guest brought to you by Bear Village.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. I am not going to get in the way of this. You guys are going to love Mr. Randall Shreve. Randall.
Congratulations, that's our show. Randall, Shreve. 10% of our box office proceeds goes to Ozark Greenways. We'll see you guys